The first time Zyx'tal opened the core sample from Earth's largest landfill, he wept crystalline tears of joy. His research team thought he'd finally cracked under the pressure of their 3-year excavation project, but they didn't understand. Humans had created something more precious than all the mineral deposits in the Andromeda galaxy. They'd built resource gardens. "Sir, are you all right?" His junior researcher, Krev, awkwardly patted his supervisor's carapace with a tentacle. Zyx'tal wiped his optical sensors and lifted the core sample with trembling appendages. "Do you know what this is, Krev?" "Compacted waste from the primitive period of Sol 3's dominant species, approximately 2025 to 2075 CE. "No." Zyx'tal's voice resonated with reverence. "This is the most perfectly engineered bacterial cultivation medium I've ever seen. The humans, they weren't destroying their planet. They were seeding it." The core sample contained layers upon layers of what humans had once called trash. But to Zyx'tal's trained eye, each layer told a story of unintentional genius. The specific combinations of hydrocarbons in their plastics, the precise ratios of organic matter to synthetic materials, the careful compression that created ideal pockets for bacterial growth. It was all perfect. Too perfect to be accidental. Marcus Chen, the human liaison assigned to their archaeological expedition, looked up from his datapad with raised eyebrows. "You're telling me our garbage dumps were actually valuable?" "Valuable." Zyx'tal chittered with excitement. "Mr. Chen, your species created the most efficient bioreactors in known space, and you did it by accident. The bacterial strains we're finding in these landfills are capable of breaking down materials we thought were permanently toxic. They're metabolizing compounds that have plagued industrial worlds for millennia." Marcus ran a hand through his graying hair, looking at the sprawling excavation site that had once been the New Jersey Meadowlands landfill. So all those centuries of environmental activists calling these places ticking time bombs. "We're only half right," Zyx'tal finished. "They were time bombs, but they were incubating solutions, not problems." The discovery sparked the greatest gold rush the galaxy had ever seen. Within months, every major corporation in the Galactic Trade Federation had representatives on Earth, negotiating for mining rights to humanity's ancient garbage dumps. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Humans had spent centuries trying to figure out what to do with their trash, only to discover it would make them the wealthiest species in known space. Dr. James Sullivan, head of Earth's Waste Management Historical Society, found himself suddenly elevated from academic obscurity to one of the most important consultants in human history. His database of historical landfill compositions and layering techniques had become the equivalent of ancient treasure maps. "The thing is," he explained to a panel of alien industrialists, his wild white hair adding to his appearance of eccentric brilliance, "we accidentally created perfect conditions for extremophile bacteria. Every time we tried to seal off our garbage to protect the environment, we were actually creating specialized evolution chambers." He pulled up a holographic cross-section of a typical 21st century landfill. The layering of different materials, the varying oxygen levels, the temperature gradients, we unknowingly designed the most sophisticated bacterial breeding grounds in galactic history. And because we kept adding new materials and compounds, we forced the bacteria to constantly adapt and evolve. Zyx'tal, now leading the Galactic Scientific Council's Earth Studies Division, had become something of a celebrity in scientific circles. His paper, Anthropogenic Bacterial Evolution Chambers, The Unintentional Genius of Human Waste Management, had become the most cited research publication in the last century. But it was his private conversation with Marcus Chen that really illuminated the magnitude of humanity's accidental achievement. They stood at the edge of what had once been the Fresh Kills landfill on Staten Island, watching automated mining drones carefully extract core samples. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, reflecting off the specialized containment fields that now covered most of Earth's major landfill sites. "You know what the funniest part is?" Marcus said, sipping from a cup of coffee. "We spent centuries feeling guilty about all this. Environmental scientists called our landfills monuments to human shame." Zyx'tal's antenna twitched in amusement. And instead, they were monuments to human ingenuity, even if unintentional. "Did you know that the bacterial strain we found in layer 47 of this site is already being used to clean up industrial waste on 17 planets? How much are they paying for it?" "Enough to fund Earth's complete conversion to renewable energy 3 times over." Zyx'tal paused, his external membranes shifting in what Marcus had learned was the alien equivalent of a smile. "Though I suppose that's less impressive now that we've discovered your bacteria can convert industrial waste directly into clean fuel." The impact on human society was profound. Countries that had once been ashamed of their waste management history were now proudly offering tours of their resource gardens. Waste management engineers, once the unsung heroes of civil service, were being recruited by alien corporations for salaries that made tech industry compensation look modest. Dr. Sullivan found himself giving a guest lecture at the Galactic Science Academy, something he still couldn't quite believe. The real breakthrough, he told a packed auditorium of multi-species students, came when we realized that different eras of human consumption had produced different specialized bacterial strains. The 1950s layers, rich in early plastics and chemical waste, produced bacteria that could break down complex polymers. The early digital age layers gave us organisms that could extract rare earth elements from electronic waste. A student raised a tentacle. But surely humans must have noticed these bacteria evolving. Oh, we did, Sullivan chuckled. We just didn't realize what we had. We called them superbugs and worried they might be dangerous. We were so focused on the potential threats that we missed the potential benefits. Back at the New Jersey site, Zyx'tal and his team had made another breakthrough. They discovered that the bacterial ecosystems in human landfills didn't just break down waste, they reorganized it. The processes they'd evolved created new molecular structures, some of which defied known physics. It's like they're not just decomposing materials, Zyx'tal explained to Marcus, they're reassembling them into more efficient forms. These bacteria aren't just recycling, they're upgrading. Marcus laughed. So we didn't just create nature's recycling plants, we created nature's research and development labs. Precisely. Zyx'tal's voice took on a serious tone. You know, there's a certain poetry to it all. Your species spent so long worried about your impact on your planet, but in trying to contain that impact, you created something revolutionary. The very things you thought were destroying your world were actually saving others. The galactic media had taken to calling Earth's landfills the Gardens of Eden, a reference that made human historians both cringe and laugh. But the name stuck, especially after the bacteria from these sites began transforming polluted worlds across the galaxy into habitable paradises. Dr. Sullivan, in what would become the most watched interview in galactic broadcasting history, summed it up best. We thought we were building monuments to our shame, but we were actually creating monuments to life's incredible ability to adapt and evolve. Our trash didn't just become treasure, it became hope for the entire galaxy. As the sun set on another day of excavation, Marcus watched the specialized collection vessels take off, carrying their precious cargo of bacteria-rich samples to worlds he'd never see. Each vessel contained the potential to transform a dying planet into a thriving one, all thanks to humanity's centuries-long accident. You know what this means, don't you? He asked Zyx'tal. What's that? Humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization came from our garbage. Zyx'tal's crystalline tears glimmered in the fading light. No, Mr. Chen. Your greatest contribution was creating the conditions for life to solve problems you didn't even know existed. You may have done it by accident, but you proved that even in your waste, there was wisdom. Even in your mistakes, there was hope. And somewhere, in the carefully maintained layers of humanity's ancient landfills, billions of bacteria continued their work, transforming humanity's monuments of shame into gardens of possibility, one molecule at a time.